This podcast is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
Scott, how many teams do you think end up making the field of 64 out of the Southeastern Conference?
I think you guys pretty much hit it right on the head. It's unless somebody gets hot and or another team that's pretty much in just falls on their face, and somebody like Ole Miss slips in, and Ole Miss has shown you that you don't have to win everything to get up and compete in the College World Series.
Yeah,
so I think 10.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's get to last night's game. Gut-wrenching way to lose, a 1-0 battle in a pitcher's duel. We'll get to Hagen Smith and his historical accomplishments last night, but walk us through those late frames. We're kind of unwinding it earlier where, Arkansas just couldn't throw strikes, couldn't get anyone out. They intentionally walked one and end up walking in the one and only run of the game for A&M to win.
If you're a former pitcher or if you're somebody who really appreciates watching good pitching, last night was fantastic to watch until the very end. And you could see two different approaches to the end of the game. A&M went with their starter, and then they went with their ace out of the bullpen, and they stuck with that. And it worked out well. We kind of have a tendency to go a batter here, batter there, batter here, batter there. One inning of 3 up, 3 down, and then pull the guy, looking further down the road. So it becomes a strategy game, it becomes a chess game at the end, and the guys that come in have to throw strikes. And we talk about it all the time. The one thing as a pitcher that you have to do to be successful is throw strikes, and sometimes it just gets away from you.
Chuck said something earlier about the crowd and thought that had a bearing on the end of the game. I don't know if you were still up or watched it back. It was awfully late last night when the game ended, but did you feel like the crowd there at the end, while it wasn't a full house because of weather and the late start, had an effect on Arkansas's pitching staff at the end of the ball game?
That's always easy to point the crowd. Well, the crowd was loud, or this was this, or this was that. And some kids it affects, some kids it doesn't. And that's that part where the elite pitchers and the guy at the top shelf, they can walk out, everything just turns into a little hum. You get out there, you have a song in your head or something else going on is what makes it easy to face those crowds. But some kids it does, some kids it doesn't, and you don't know. You don't know. You don't see McIntyre coming in and walking a guy. I never would have seen that scenario earlier in the season. He's the guy you want to come in this situation, bases loaded, and let's just get this last guy out. It just didn't work out. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But all in all, it was a great game because we have to remember, A&M is one of the elite hitting teams in the country.
Well, sure.
We're not playing the lower end. We're playing the top end, and it's a 1-0 game after 11 innings. So you can't get down here. Can't get down about that.
Scott Tabor with us here in the Morning Rush. It's brought to you by Alumni Hall. Let's talk about Hagen Smith. He went 6 innings last night, faced 21 batters, no runs on 2 hits, fanned 14, and he is now the all-time strikeout king at Arkansas. What makes him so special?
He doesn't have to have his best stuff. He doesn't have to hit every spot to still be elite. There were times where he would get behind. My son and I were watching. I said, he's going to throw a fastball right by him. The guy knows it's coming, and he's still not going to hit it. And sure enough, it'd be a bell-tie fastball right down the middle at 97 miles an hour, and they're missing it. Because 97, 98, you don't have a lot of time to put the barrel where you want it. You've got to kind of guess a little bit just even on the fastball. He's just got elite stuff, and I hope everybody watching really appreciates what they're watching because they're going to get to watch it on TV, coming up in the next year or two. So it's fun to watch, and his attitude. He's a power pitcher. On the other side, you had Prater. Prater matched him pitch for pitch. Now, Prater wasn't pitching against Texas A&M. He was pitching against a little less hitting team facing the Razorbacks. We don't hit the ball well. We don't have 8 long ball threats in the lineup, with 20-plus home runs or whatever they got. But he just walked up and he was just Hagen being Hagen. But you could see last week, his success, he was missing the strike zone. And when you start missing too much, you're just not going to have that success.
Scott, Texas A&M last night threw their 10th shutout of the season. It's the most shutouts A&M's had in almost 50 years. We watch our pitching staff, and A&M's obviously got a great pitching staff. we lament the lack of offense, and I'm the world's worst. I mean, I see guys hacking with 2 strikes. It drives me nuts. But the pitching is so good right now. I mean, everybody's got, the good teams anyway, they got pitchers with lights-out stuff. And we may be getting to the point where, I mean, 4-3 is a slugfest. I mean, it almost feels that way sometimes right now.
It is. At the end of the season, baseball teams, pitching staffs get pared down. Well, you'll have your top 5, 6, 7 guys, and those are the guys that are going to throw over and over and over. You'll get to we're at the part of the season we're in a regional or a super regional where, even more so in the World Series, where your number one starter may come in relief, in the 4th game or the 3rd game instead of starting it because you got to have it. And it's that way in basketball. You'll watch them get to the end of the season. You're playing 10 guys, and you come down to the end of the season tournament time, you're playing 6 guys. Your top 6. And so this is where, you've got to put up or shut up if you're on the pitching staff. And those guys last night, they have confidence in all of them because they all have fantastic stuff. You're bringing in 95, 98, 101, 100. It's just crazy, the talent. So it's to look forward, to roll the clock forward. You're looking at next year where these guys are going to get an extra summer of seasoning, year-to-year improvement. And if all these arms pan out next year, we're going to be that team that's going to be having 10 shutouts and all the other stuff, the good stuff that comes with that. So it's amazing to see. And when we talk about it, that's why anybody can win the World Series anymore. You just got to get there. You've just got to get there.
Hey, let me ask you about tonight. Gage Wood's going to start. My thought this week, and admittedly it is very much from the outside looking in, is that, number one, Dave's tired of falling behind early with the pitchers that he started beyond Smith. And beyond that, though, I can't see him going more than one time through the order. I mean, you're a pitcher, and you've kind of watched them stretch him out a little bit. Do you think he goes more than 3 innings, or do you think maybe they'd like to stretch him beyond that?
I think you're right, Chuck. I think they may get him 3 innings and then bring somebody else in. They may do a bullpen, and everybody's going in throwing an inning or throwing 2 innings. It's just hard to tell. You don't know what the coaching staff's thinking because they're having to think not just for this game. They're trying to think a little bit ahead. That may be why they pulled some of the guys last night or winning or out. So I don't know. Thinking there's 8,000 different ways to do it. 10 ways to skin a cat. I don't think you can go wrong anyway as long as your pitchers are coming in and throwing good quality strikes. Because to go through the lineup, a good starter has to have more than 1 or 2 pitches that he can throw for strikes. You have to be able to learn to pitch backwards in the count, change-ups on fastball counts. Prater last night, I loved watching him throw. If you watched what his best pitch was, he had an incredible changeup.
Oh, yeah.
You can't hit a great changeup. We kept swinging through it, and you look at it, and it's 78 miles an hour. And the guys are swinging it and missing it by 2 feet because everything was from the same gap, and it wasn't falling way off the map. It was fun to watch him pitch. I hated he was on the other side, but it was fun watching him pitch.
Yeah, I thought he was he was a thing of beauty a time or two. The one good thing, and I'll turn it back over to you guys after this, but the one good thing, I don't want to hear you talk about this, Scott. You touched on it there. A&M's reliever, who I thought was just as good as the starter, he's done until, he might have an inning maybe tomorrow. But they stretched him out, and he's an all-SEC reliever. I mean, he's really good. He was really good last night. Mm-hmm. But he can't pitch tonight. And if he does pitch tomorrow, it'll be very minimally.
46 pitches last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the same thing, and I was thinking they're going all in on every game. He didn't
absolutely. That's exactly what they're doing.
Looking, yeah, and they should, just like we should. We should be going all in on every game. I mean, we win one game, we win the Western Division. And I know that doesn't mean anything, Tommy, but it does to the kids. Every team wants to make a dog pile, and they want a dog pile. You want to win something. You don't want to just play. You're not playing for they want a ring. They don't want. It's not one of those that you put it on and you get a piece of candy. They want a real ring, and that's a big thing because that's something you're going to have forever. And so you play for that stuff. You go for this ring, and then you go for that ring, and then the ring gets bigger the higher up you go. And so it's game to game, series to series, and at that part where they say it just means more. It does. Every pitch means a little bit more. So you still have to play the game relaxed, though, and go out and try to hit a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. So it's difficult.
Tell you what you do with that Western Division. You engrave that somewhere on the inside of the band of your national championship ring. That's what you do with that Western Division stuff.
It was that easy. Because here's the deal. We all talk about expectations. Who would have thought at this point in the season that we don't know exactly who our three starters are going to be. We don't know who's going to be in the outfield. We almost have more questions now than we did 6-8 weeks ago because of lack of performance. And it's things shift around during the season. You have to be able to adjust. I think we have a deep enough bullpen and some great arms coming out of the bullpen that we can adjust and make it through without having Tiger and Molina be our 2 and 3 studs. So it's and they could come back and they could be the heroes of the whole thing. You just don't know. Pitching is that way. So I'd love to see somebody step up and just every time they get out, they just dominate. Other than Hagen, we know he is.
Yeah, because of the Thursday night, which we've had around the league, it is a night game. I guess sometimes you're ready after an ending like that to get to the ballpark and wipe that one away. Is it an advantage because of the short rest and because of the way the game ended? How do you feel about the evening start versus what would have been normally a Saturday start or something after a game like that?
Well, I guarantee you they didn't have them up at 7 o'clock this morning doing calisthenics and running around the parking lot. They've got to sleep in. They'll have a late morning, have a late breakfast, as a team, kind of a brunch deal. They've got it all laid out how they want to be. You got to remember, these kids aren't you and I. These kids are 20 years old. Bouncing back after a game the night before, that's not as big of a deal as it seemed to us anyway.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.